Viewer discretion is advised.
If you're not struggling throughout the process, you're never going to know what it's really like once you get to that point.
Mandate.
Welcome to Mandate, where we navigate fresh perspectives and nothing is off the table. Our guest today hails all the way from out west. He is a Liston College alumni. He is mentoring and coaching the next generation of superstar athletes in New Zealand. He's the director of Iron Up Sports. Please welcome Valentino Stewart.
Woohoo! Thank you. Maro love also. Hey, also good to see you back. It's been a while also, but I'm just kind of curious to know what's been going on with Iron Up to date also.
So lockdown was very interesting for us. Everything went online for the kids and everything like that. So it was something new to navigate. But I'm happy that we're back out of the lockdown and able to go face to face with all the kids. So we just had our preseason program that just finished up in April, and just in time for the kids to get into their winter sporting season. And at the moment, we're in our maintenance phase. So it's good to see all the kids back into the program.
Awesome. Hey, also, just for those who probably don't know what Iron Up is all about, if you can give us a bit of a lowdown on what Iron Up is and what does it stand for?
So Iron Up Sports, it's a athletic development program for youth. So the main things that we focus on is we like to call it our 4 pillars. So first things first is our mindset. So teaching kids how to set goals. What is a goal? How do we go about setting mini goals in order to achieve that main thing that they want out of life and in sports as well. We go into our movement. So that's our sprint mechanics, change of direction, strength and conditioning. And from there, we also teach about one of the big things I think that a lot of kids undervalue, I reckon, which is nutrition. So teaching them about the importance of what to eat, what not to eat all the time, and just making sure that they're conscious of what they're eating. And then the last one is recovery. So sleeping well, making sure that they're drinking their waters throughout the day, and something called foam rolling. So just basically massaging the muscles so they're getting ready for whatever sports or movements they're getting into. So that's, we've been doing that since 2013. And the name basically comes from a Bible passage, Proverbs chapter 27, verse 17. So as iron sharpens iron, so a friend sharpens a friend. And so it's just about us as adults and coaches just giving our knowledge back to the younger generation so that they can make better choices for themselves.
Ooh, nice.
Man, that's awesome. And where did where did the sort of seeds of Iron Up start? Where did the vision sort of first take place, and what was the journey like getting to that point where you're like, oh, cool, this is what we're going to do, and then making that leap of faith?
Yeah. So it was me and my brother-in-law, Henry Godone. So he looks after Iron Up Sports in Australia. So if you're listening to this, my little brother, we loved fitness. So that's how we all started, really. So as soon as I graduated from AUT, I got given a job in Australia. So I moved over to Australia basically straight away, and we just wanted to keep fit and healthy. And from there, a few of our mates, they started joining in, cousins, families, they all started jumping into our fitness program. And so from there, we just thought, why don't we just make it a business? And so we sat down one time thinking about what will we call it. And then from there, that's where we just came up with the name Iron Up. Iron Up Fitness is how it first started. So from there, we just started working with adults, and within about a year and a half, we were able to get about 10 paying clients.
Wow.
And so for us, that was a big milestone. We've made it in life. We've got 10 new clients. But after a while, they started dropping off. So people started getting too busy. Sports season began, so now they've got to look after their kids, and they became first priority. And so I moved back to New Zealand with Iron Up Fitness. So I thought I'll give it one more crack to see if I can still work with adults. And from there, Henry started looking for who can teach my kid how to sprint properly, who can teach my kid what kind of conditioning or running drills they should be doing. And so he approached different coaches, and every coach that came back to him was said, "Oh, your kid's too young. We can't work with him. Wait until he gets a little bit older, or if he makes rep grades, we'll start looking after him." And so he ended up looking up different methods of how to train his own kid. And so that's when I jumped in and I said, there's this awesome ass course we can do together. And that's when we started studying on the course and just using our own kids as the proof. And so they started seeing a good proof from our nephews. And from there, that's when we transitioned from Iron Up Fitness into Iron Up Sports. And so that ever since then, that would have been 2014, end of 2014. That's when we started making the transition into youth development. And then from ever since then, he started the one in Sydney. I came back in New Zealand and I started up the kids in New Zealand. And my first location was Maangili. So we came down to Norana Ave in Maangili, and that's where I got my first 5 kids to train with. And then from there, it just grew ever since.
Yeah, man. And I love what you said. It's not your ordinary kind of fitness program or sports coaching and so forth. And I love that because and I've seen it firsthand, that the different mechanics in terms of sprinting and changing direction and so forth. And also you said, I think the biggest part for our Pacific and Māori folks or men is the nutrition. And so,
Yeah.
So can you explain in terms of the mechanics around all that, the professionalism and so forth? Because in Australia, I'm hearing that it's booming, it's going off in Australia, but also even more so now here in New Zealand. There's a massive following with Iron Up. But can you explain some of the mechanics and how how it all works with our athletes?
Yeah, no, for sure. So when we first started, we were able to team up with a well-known sprinter or sprinting coach, and he's looked after a lot of the NRL, Aussie rules, even sprinters that are in the Olympics for Australia, and his name's Roger Fabry. And so we spent a lot of time just working with him, just the mechanics of how everything, how the body works, how they should be striking the ground, where their arms should be looking, or what they should be looking like, different postures for different phases of sprinting. And it was pretty intense, but we even had to jump in and do it ourselves. So it was a practical session there to make sure that we were teaching the right thing, because he was putting his name on Iron Up Sports. And so, so from there we were able to practice with the kids. And so after a while we started getting the gist of how sprinting works. And then same thing with our course. It was an American course called Exos Performance Program. And it teaches the importance of plyometrics, so jumping and landing. If you can master jumping and landing, and you can apply force into the ground from the plyometrics, then that's when change of direction becomes, your stepping skills become stronger. You're able to avoid injury. So a lot of ACL injuries, ankle injuries come from because people don't know how to work their body correctly. And so just applying all of those skills and everything like that, after a while it just becomes, I guess, automatic for us, like a skill. The more you practice it, the better you got at it. And so we became more comfortable teaching it.
Yeah, mean, man.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Mean, man.
Yeah.
Far out.
That's different.
Yeah, I was going to say it's such a specialized form of knowledge, but I guess understanding sort of the science behind it really helps you pick apart where you can make the most effective changes.
Yeah.
I'm curious about the kids that come through the program. You know, there's always that sort of that debate between talent and hard work. Like the students that come through, are a lot of them naturally talented at this to begin with, or are you sort of, they're coming in and you're refining a lot and it's mainly hard work, or what's the sort of ratio? Or?
So you get a mixed bag at Iron Up Sports. So you get kids that are coming in talented and they just need that little bit of technique, I guess, just to refine their skills. And then you get kids that never played sports before. They've never ran before. Kids that are overweight as well. So they're just looking for a place. They don't want to play sports, but they just still want to be active. And so we, I guess it's probably 50% come in talented already, just ready to just refine their skills. And then the other 50 is just kids just wanting to, their parents wanting the kids just to get better or just stay active. So it's, I'll say it's a 50-50.
And that's awesome. You touched on something there about parents, like I imagine the whānau support, the role of family in supporting their children through the program is super important.
Yeah.
Are you able to elaborate some more on the role of parents in whānau and being able to support their children?
Yeah, for us, we try and involve the family in what we're doing with their kids at INUP. So, for example, we have a pre-season program and we have a booklet that we give out to all our kids. And in the booklet, especially with kids, 25 pages plus, we encourage the parents just to sit down with them and go step by step with everything that we write in there. And then basically there's homework in there for the kids and the parents to do together. So the first part is the goal setting. And so we try and involve the parents and the families in that part as well. There's a nutrition side, so the parents cooking as a family and eating healthier meals together just to support their end goal for the preseason program. So anything that we can do to involve parents and families, we try explain it as easy as possible so that they can just, instead if it's too complicated, then they're just going to just chuck the book out of the way. So in the booklet, we try to make it as easy as possible so the whole family can do it together. Because without their support, basically the kids, they'll probably just drift off and not do anything after that. Yeah.
Hey, Valentino, because I know, because like I said before, it's not your ordinary sports program. You just come in and you just kind of train and you just kind of have some games and all that kind of stuff. Because I've seen it firsthand and I see it is proof is in the pudding, and I've seen it for myself. But I'm just wondering, because what's the oldest age group that you work with?
Yeah, so our oldest age group is our development crew. We've got basically they start from the age of 13 all the way up to 18 years old. So that's where we stop the athletes from coming through. So that's our oldest group. So they're a lot of the kids that are coming through. They're the ones who are wanting to make rep grades or get contracts with Bulldogs or Knights or whoever it is, if that's their sport. So they're just trying to get that extra 1% over the other kids so that they get noticed. So that's quite a few of the kids that come through in that age bracket.
Wow. And the reason why I asked that question, Valentino, is because obviously you're working with the physical aspect of these young athletes, but I'm just wondering as well, more so in terms of mentally, do you get can you recognize some of the signs and some of the pressures that some of our young men or young athletes are facing? Or
yeah, so especially with our rugby league kids, just that pressure of, my friends just made it, they just got a contract for the development Warriors, I still need to try to get there. And so you see that they tend to overdo it when it comes to training, so they get a little bit obsessed with trying to get to that mark of getting into the development. And so us as coaches is just to sit them down, or just at the end of the session, just talk back with them, see how everything's going, recenter them, just say, remember, got to focus on balance, school and also work at the same time. And at the same time, just during the daytime or whatever it is, if they need help or they need to talk to somebody, don't be afraid to reach out to us. And so real good one is one of our coaches, Phil. So he looks after a lot of our Mangele athletes, because the kids that are in that age bracket at the moment, he's looked after them since they were 19 years old. So he's seen them grow up through the scenes, and it's pretty cool. Now we've got about 6 of them that have made it into the Warriors development, all in the same age group. And so they've all come from different locations of INUP. But because they've been with us for so long, they're able to message each other just to see how everything's going. What's your training regime like? Oh, yeah, let's do it all together. And they're just supporting each other. Then us as coaches, because now that they're training 5-6 times a week, they can't come over to our trainings anymore. But we always tell them, you can always come back to us if you ever need to talk, or is there something that if we need to refine anything, we'll help you out. So we still try to keep that contact with them.
It's good, man. It's good. It's
Man,
good.
the wraparound support's pretty awesome. In terms of the mental and hashing out, the family support and things like that.
Yeah.
The values that underpin INUP, you mentioned sort of the scripture about where the name comes from, but the values that sort of underpin the program, are those values that you sort of grew up with in terms of providing that extra support? Because just from the description, it seems like you offer a little bit extra. It's not just about the training itself, it's not just about the performance, but there's all these other contexts that you're sort of operating in. So I'm just curious about where the values came from.
So I grew up in the Catholic system, I'd say. So from a young age, went to Avondale Primary, then St. Mary's Primary, then to Holy Cross out West Auckland, and then ended up in Liston College. And so our family was a very religious family, I'd say. So had grandma living with us, so local 6 p.m. every night in the bedroom. Everyone had to come in. Sunday churches, and just the parents just always just everything you do, just thank God for everything that you're doing. So for us, it was just we were brought up like that, and always being kind, make sure that you're looking after everyone around you, no matter what. And so by the time I grew up, that was just an automatic thing for me. So I always wanted to give more than receive. So if you need anything, I was always going to be there for you. And so that's the virtues that I try keep even in my business, even if I'm not training you at a certain hour and that's it. I still, even after hours, I'm always going to be there. So that's what I always try to give back.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Man. Sorry, Valentino, because I keep on going back to the mindset, because I know a lot of the big massive part of INUP is the physical aspect, but in terms of for yourself as a man, and I know as a Pacific man as well, so there must be days where physically you're there, but sometimes mentally it can be quite daunting and it can be quite frustrating at times. But I'm just wondering, how do you deal with some of that stress? And also, how do some of these athletes, or is there any practical ways that you are able to help some of these athletes and for other men out there?
Yeah. For me, it's fitness is my thing. So when I'm feeling stressed, or if I'm not in the right mindset, it's always going to be some kind of a grueling, hardcore session just to get the sweat out and just get a vent out a little bit. Or it could just be something as simple as just going for a walk. So just making sure that when I'm active, I feel positive. So days when I'm not active and I'm not exercising, then for me it's I feel like I haven't started my day right. And so for me, exercising is just one of the ways that I vent out, and just to feel better about myself. But also just hanging out with the family as well. So whenever I feel like work's getting a bit too much, I know I can always come back to it. So just go take the kids out somewhere, go have some fun, or just stay at home and just have to be happy and just do some things with them. Yeah. Wow. So that's two of my main things that I like to do when I'm feeling a bit stressed.
Because I can imagine, because I know with lockdown, I know obviously INUP is a business.
Yeah,
and a lot of the sports was kind of like there's no children's sports or practically everywhere in the nation. How did you navigate through all of that in the lockdown and business wise, and then having no kids or no programs?
Yeah. So during lockdown, because we weren't training any kids, the business stopped altogether. But because it was my passion, I told the kids, even though it's not a paid session, everyone jump in on Zoom every single day at this certain time. I'm going to take you through a training session. So that's what I did, just to keep myself busy too. So Monday to Friday, it kept myself accountable to make sure that I was there for the kids. And that happened throughout the first lockdown. Everything was for free for any other, even if you're an INUP athlete, just jump in on the session and just have a good body weight session with me. Or if you wanted a technical session, it was on these certain days, just go out onto the fields and all you needed was a camera and follow what I do. So, it was hard for us financially, but I guess when it's your passion and you still want to be there for the kids no matter what, that's what kept me going through the lockdown, was just continuing to train the kids and just see the enjoyment they were getting out of it. Yeah. So but definitely, COVID was hard. Because as soon as we came out, everyone was happy to be back all together again, I guess, to mix and mingle face to face instead of just always being on social media and everything like that. So that's what I did to cope during the lockdown. That's
cool, man. Yeah. That's awesome, man. That's cool. Nice one.
Man, that's awesome. What's it called? Have you, I'm sure there's always in the back of your mind the fears that we go into another lockdown, but have you sort of been able to pull some of that experience into anticipating how things might operate or sort of ways to work around another lockdown?
Yeah, so pretty cool with those sessions. I recorded them. And so even though they were free sessions, in my head I knew if it was to ever happen again, then I could transition into selling this as an online subscription program. So I've kept every video that I've done. If anything ever happens again, all these videos are ready to roll. It's a progression where they can do it week by week, and it'll just be something nice and cheap weekly, and at least I'm getting some kind of finance out of it at the same time. So if there was anything to happen again, then our program will go online. And the cool thing about that, I guess, is it's not limited to just Auckland. Anyone that has access to the videos, they'll be able to pay a weekly subscription for it. So that's the backup plan.
That's awesome.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
Spoken like a real businessman, man. That's good, man. Entrepreneur, man. Yeah. My man. Hey, also, I don't know. I was thinking of this question also. Has there ever been a time when you and your coaches have got together and you're training these kids and you just just randomly you think, man, I don't know if I can train this kid, man, or just I don't know. I'm just running out there. It's been like, sorry, man. Sorry, parents. I don't know if Has there ever been a time like that or a case that where you're just like, oh no, man, this is just.
Nah. So at INUP, there's a culture. So the culture is you either work hard with us, or if you don't, you're gonna stick out like a sore thumb and you're gonna leave by yourself. So we've never ever had to actually tell anyone to leave, but you've known when you're at INUP, like everyone's. They're all hit, no matter how hard the sessions are. You're going to work hard with us and we're going to support you all the way through. So there has been times where there are hard kids that are, difficult to train, but instead of me telling them to leave, they end up just fading away because it's not the right culture for them. So because we come from it's a high-performance athletic background, the kids that we normally attract at INUP are normally the kids that, or the parents and the kids that are wanting to get somewhere or get something out of the program. But so in the past we've had a few kids like that, but I guess patience is a virtue. For me, I'm just going to keep on coming at you. Come on, let's do this. I'll give you a second to rest onto the side when you're ready, come back in type thing. But eventually those types of kids, they just fade away. So patience is a big thing in youth development.
That's true.
Man, I've spoken to school principals. So I'm studying to be a teacher, and I ask the principals, what's the hardest part of the job, and you kind of expect them to say the kids, but oftentimes the most common answer is it's the parents. So I wonder, with the parents, always sometimes they're pushing kids to live the dreams they never got to do. Have you ever had situations sort of dealing with parents that are sort of pushing their kid too hard, and how do you recognize that and then sort of deal with some of those issues, because it can be quite a sensitive thing to talk about?
So at our program, we kind of separate the parents. So if you're going to be watching, you're watching from the sidelines. You can't come in and say to your kid, you got to run faster, whatever it is. We separate them so that they're far away from any outside noise or anything like that. So fortunately for us, we haven't had any parents that are like that. We try set the culture straight from the beginning. They're here to come. They've got a goal. It's not your goal, but we'll help you guys together to make sure you get to that place. So to date, we haven't had any difficult parents, fortunately, which is it's a blessing, I guess. But if we were to get something like that, then we'll just go straight to the kid. Is this what you want? If it's you that you want it, then you're going to get it. And you can see that through the way that they're working and the things that they do outside of our training. If it's more of the parents thing, then you're going to see it same thing again. They're going to be dragging their feet at training. You know that they're not going to want to be there. And so that's when we'll step in, if we have to talk to the parents and just be straight with them. Yeah.
Man, that's cool, Valentino. Hey, Valentino, because I think in the past there's been other athletes, or more so Pacific and Māori athletes, who have kind of felt the pressure of performing and being the professional athlete, and we've heard some sad stories in the past, or even I don't know, even present, of athletes taking their own lives because of the pressure. So I'm just wondering, how how do you is there somewhere that you kind of not warn the kids, but kind of or kind of strengthen them mentally and also with the physical aspect? And so,
Yeah.
what do you guys? Is there anything that you guys do to prepare our kids or these young athletes?
Yeah. So we always tell them at Iron Up, it's be a good person first. And if you're a good person, the good sportsman or the athlete will come out automatically. So we always tell them you always should have a backup plan. And so that's why we say be good at school, make sure you're doing your work, so that when if you end up falling from that dream that you want, at least the virtues of hard work, dedication, always keeping a positive mindset, those virtues can be, or that energy can be focused on another avenue if they want to. And that's one thing that we keep on. So we have team talks at the end of the session, good 5 minutes, and it's just reiterating everything every single session. And so we believe the more we say it to them, the more they start believing, oh yeah, the dream of being an NRL star, it's a high chance that I might not make it, but if I don't, then at least I know the same hard work ethic that I put into my training, I can put towards a different passion. And so, so that's one thing. At the end of every session, we just always have a good team talk, keep everything positive, and we just hope that over time, if they don't make it to that big dream that they're wanting, we hope that eventually they'll put that energy to something else good.
That's cool. That's cool.
That's awesome.
But
I was just going to ask about the sort of over time. Have you noticed sort of trends? And I guess while we're talking about kids, and obviously you won't go into specifics, but I think this is also applicable to men today. But have you noticed sort of trends with sort of the development of the area in Mangere, perhaps things like social media, the influence of social media, all that sort of stuff? Like there's a lot of distractions these days, whether it's fast food, technology, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I'm curious about trends you've picked up over time with the kids.
For me, seeing the kids, especially the teenagers, so that the whole TikTok scene. So you see a lot of them are starting to do a lot of, they're into the whole trends of whatever's happening on there. And so a lot of it that I see at, especially with our older teenagers and everything like that, is that, what would you call it? Drill, rap,
the
gangster,
rap,
American type theme coming through at training. And so we try stamp it out straight away. You'll come in sometimes and they want to have a spar one-on-one, and they say, oh, we're just warming up, blah, 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 blah. And so sometimes it ends up being some kids having a little bit of a scuffle, but we have to just remind them, hey, this is not what we teach you guys over here. So I guess the social media and all of that, I think other teenagers making it look cool. And so they're starting to follow that same scene, thinking it's going to be something that they are when they're not. And so I think that's probably one thing that I have seen is just the influence of all of those genres. I guess getting to some people's heads when they're not really that type of person. So we try to bring them back to square one and say, hey, this is what you this is what you've told me what you really want to focus on. Don't let these distractions basically cancel out your dream, because one day you might make a mistake and that's you. So that's I guess one thing that I do see in terms of social media anyways.
And that's cool.
Yeah, man.
You kind of touched on the importance of, and I guess sometimes we all need a bit of a pep talk to return to square one. Sometimes there's a lot of value in returning to square one. And so I'm curious about the challenges of juggling, your journey with Iron Up, but also with managing your expectations as a father and a husband and just the family life. Like, does that get tricky sometimes? And how do you make sure how do you set your priorities straight so you're doing both of them justice?
Yeah. We've been in business since 2012-13 now. It's still probably haven't really balanced it out yet. So there'll be times where time just goes by during the day where I could be on the computer for a good 5-6 hours before I have to stand up and go do the trainings out on the fields. And then by the time I come back home again, the kids are sleeping. So that's what I see a lot. Well, I've been doing for the past couple of years. I guess it's probably the past 6 months now where I've started to realize the kids are growing up too quick now. Just not long ago, they were just little babies, and now they're already at school playing sports, and I'm not spending the same energy that I do with the iron-up athletes with my own kids. So it wasn't until I saw that I started making it a priority. So I used to be a 6 day a week trainer, so training the kids 6 days a week. I've learned to let go of my responsibilities and let my coaches, trust my coaches to jump into the areas and do it themselves. And so I've dedicated 2 days a week now where I get to spend time with the family and actually take my kids through their own training, how I train the kids at Iron Up too. So it's, in business, I guess you don't have fixed hours. I jumped into business thinking I'll be having 5 days off a week, living the dream. But now I'm doing more than I was when I was doing my previous jobs. But because it's my passion, I love it. So I just got to make sure that at least those 2 days I try stop doing any type of work and just spend time with the family, just so I can balance it out and just be present for them. Yeah.
That's good. That's so good also. It is a kind of like a juggling act there, Valentino.
Yeah.
Kind of finding the balance and just being able to spend time with your wife and the boys. But I'm also, hey, because what are you, a rugby man or league?
So I grew up playing rugby union, and wasn't until Iron Up started where I started actually learning about league a little bit more into depth with everything. Because 90% of the kids that were coming through were leaguey boys. Yeah. But lucky for me, I had my trainers that were in the league scene and everything, so they were able to look after anything rugby league programs that we hosted. But yeah, definitely, I'm a union man.
Union man, and it's cool, yeah, union. But because I wanted to ask you, because I know with the training and so forth, and you see it a lot of the times with our players, and you probably heard the stereotype before, a lot of, even with the Warriors, keeping the faith, and they're saying it's going to be our year this year. It's going to be our year. Every year we say that, but there's always been a bit of a kind of like banter, but also a bit of jokingly saying that it's just the way these Pacific Islanders are. It's just the culture and the Warriors, the culture of these men. It's just the mental fortitude is not very strong, but physically blessed, man, strong, athletes, fast, all these natural abilities. But then sometimes I always hear it, sometimes people say, it's just the way they are, just mentally they're not mentally tough. What are your thoughts on that? Because I want you to give us your thoughts in terms of, is it true or not true in terms of our men, our Pacific men, our players out there?
For my point of view, I believe it's whoever you're coached under. And so they're the one that they set the standards for how the players that they coach should be. And I'm a big believer that if you're not coached by someone that you don't want to be, that will show in the way that you perform. Whereas if you're in a culture where you like what your coach is doing, they're looking after you, there's a good team bond and everyone's the same thing again, I'm a big believer that it's all under who you coach. So you have, for example, I guess any Pacific Islander that's under the All Blacks. So they're an 80-minute player, and I guess it's because of the culture and the standards that they've been given by whoever their coaching and management staff is. And so if you can bring that same mentality to another, I guess, club. I won't name the club.
What's the name?
I won't name the club. Then I guess when you set it from the top, it trickles down to all the players at the same time. Pacific Islanders, they're big, they're strong, they're talented, they're fit. So they've got the skills physically, and I guess the mental side comes from just whoever is coaching them and mentoring them. So if you can have the right coach or mentor, they'll, just like any Polynesian, if you have their back, they'll make sure they got your back right to the end.
Nice. Good one. No, well said.
And a lot of that, I can see how that that it sort of translates to life advice in terms of finding the right mentors and people to help guide you. Are you able to elaborate on perhaps some of the other mentors that you've had in your life that have helped guided you on this path to where you're at now?
Yeah, probably my biggest ones, parents. They weren't, I guess, dream killers. I was fortunate enough to grow up in a family where they encouraged you to try different things, learn how to make your own money. So I was able to start working from a very young age, and that's where I got to appreciate money, even if you're only getting paid $10 for 6 hours a week, type thing. So that my parents were a big one. They always encouraged just to follow whatever you do, or whatever you want to achieve. But if you're going to go for it, make sure you do get it. And so my parents are a big one. Mentors, grandma, keeping the faith. Whatever you do, you always do your kakalo, say thank you and everything like that. So she was one of my big mentors in life. And I guess my older brother, so keeping me on the straight path. So growing up, always having a big brother. If I was starting to become one of those mamika kids, then get the ball in the head, then you know what you need to do, back on the straight path again. So having an older brother just to keep me on that straight path. And over time, just got into the whole audibles or just read. I wasn't much of a reader, but I stumbled across something called Audible, where you got to listen to books. And so I guess that's where the business mindset really started coming into fruition. It was just listening to all the Grant Cardones. Who else would be everyone knows the Gary V's. And all those Bedros Koulians. So listening to all those guys and just getting kind of like these podcasts, just finding the gems and then just applying it to your lifestyle.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
Man, do you just thinking about some of those names that you brought up, they're really inspirational, great men with some awesome stuff on mentality. Do you notice, like, is it quite a shock sometimes when you think about sort of the state of our men today in New Zealand versus some of those gems that you've picked up, and is the gap quite big in terms of where we're at versus where we could be?
100%. I guess when I was growing up, I wouldn't think even myself, the same person from 12 years ago, be where I'm at. I always thought I'll just be the guy that would just work my 40-hour week, be happy with whatever I get given, and that's me, and then just live that life for the rest of my life. But I guess it wasn't because I wasn't aware there was actually things like that you can do to I guess self-study and just learn little gems. And it wasn't until one of my cousins introduced me to it, and so that's when I was like, oh, there's such a thing called audibles, where people give out free information on how to start things and everything like that. So I guess it's just not having the resources. That's what I'd say is probably one of the biggest things, or just having the knowledge that there is resources out there that can help you. So if there was, say, me 15 years ago, or longer than that, in school, where they say advisors coming in to help you to navigate where you want to go in life, I think I would have been there quicker than what I am right now. Yeah, so I guess it's just having those resources, knowing and that they are available. So I guess that's one of what I think is one of the big things that can get someone like me that was 12, 15 years ago to that point where those guys are. Hopefully one day I can be a little bit step closer to where they are at the moment.
Yeah. So regardless of if it wasn't Iron Up, you would have still pursued something in business, Valentino?
Yeah. So I think it's third form. I started economics class and I heard a fancy word, entrepreneur.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was like, oh, what's this thing? So when they explained what an entrepreneur was, I was like, that's something that stuck to my mind now that I'm doing business. I was like, maybe that's where I first started getting a little bit interested about business. So I guess, from there, and then I reckon from what I know now, I would always start up something different as a business. Yeah.
Because like, what is not the end game? But I'm just wondering, what's the main goal for you? If you've kind of already gone past that kind of not threshold, but you kind of thinking, oh, this is what I want in the next few years. So what's the main goal for now for Iron Up?
Yep. So for us in the next 5 years is to have our HQ. Now that we're established in 8 different locations, we want Maangele because that's where we first started Iron Up, is to have a high performance facility. So at the moment, that's what we're working towards, is to get our own warehouse, deck it out, have everything inside there, kind of like a mechanics, a one-stop shop for athletes, and they can come in and do everything that they need to. So that's the next stage of Iron Up at the moment.
Low level. So are you guys the only? Well, I'm just assuming you guys are the only kind of high performance athlete program, or are you guys the first Pacific?
From what I know, I think the only one that there is at the moment is the AUT Millennium in the North Shore. But same thing again, they more focus on rep 15 plus age group. Other than that, I think we're the first ones in New Zealand that I know of that's started a program like that we're doing at the moment, and to this day, still don't know any other programs that are like this at the moment. Yeah.
Nice.
And how does I'm curious about how word gets out. Is it just sort of word of mouth, or are there sort of plans to work with schools and stuff? Or
so we don't do any advertising. I guess the only 2 main sources is Facebook. So we do a lot of Facebook advertisement, just in terms of just posting up what we're doing at the different locations, and word of mouth. So once kids are getting what they're achieving in their own sports and everything like that, parents are posting it up on their page and be like, oh, my son or my daughter did it. And so they're like, oh, how have they changed so much? And so that's when they go, oh, we get referred, or they get referred to us. And I guess that's one of our big ones, is just word of mouth, really. We've tried the avenue for schools, but I guess we're a competitor to the sporting organisations of New Zealand, and so we don't really get the chance to go in and do what we do. But unless the school pays for them themselves, then that's when we go and do private sessions with them. Yeah.
Awesome. Hey, what are some of the struggles also? Because I would like to kind of dive deeper in terms of, obviously, lockdown. Lockdown was one of the kind of major one. But what are some of the struggles that you've kind of faced in this kind of environment, in the sporting environment or sporting arena? What are some of the things that you personally kind of have to go through and kind of really go through in terms of finding light at the end of the tunnel? Was there anything like that?
So one of the other things that we are wanting to do is provide a free program, and that's for all kids. So inactive kids, kids that come from financial difficulty families and everything like that, and give the same program that we give to paying clients, and make a new program. And so we've applied through grants and everything like that to try. We've given them the idea. This is what we want to do. And so that's probably the biggest thing right now, is just getting into schools, just getting declined by like I said, the local boards and everything like that, saying that our program is too high performance for the areas that it should be in, which we believe it should be in. But I've invited them to come have a look. That it's not just that. You'll see the kids, they're having fun, but they're learning at the same time, but they always decline to come and have a look. Yeah, so I think right now that's the goal, is to try sit down with them and see how can we get into that next phase, which is to open it up to schools for free. But at the moment it's a one-way conversation. Yeah, so that's one of the big things for us. And then probably just field allocations for us. So we're probably second or third priority on the list when it comes to getting fields. And so I guess that's one of the big things, is just trying to make a relationship with the council, just to say, we're still giving kids training, just like any other club or any other sport. And all we need is just a little bit of space to just train the kids. And so it's an ongoing battle just to make sure that we do get field space.
Yeah.
So I guess that's why the HQ is the next big thing for us, is so that we don't have to answer to anybody. Anyone can come to us anytime, and we can train the kids whenever.
Nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. You're sort of painting a pretty realistic picture in terms of the realities of having a business and, you know, having to negotiate and form relationships and all this sort of stuff. I'm curious about advice you'd give to other men who are sort of have this passion, but they want to transform it into something that they can live off. If you had any sort of some real sort of feedback and inspiration on that.
If it's your dream, go and get it, as cliche as it sounds. It's not going to be easy. Before, when I came to New Zealand, I still had to work 2 different jobs and then make sure that I finish by a certain time so I can run off to the fields and set up the fields and make sure everything's going. If it's really your passion and that's what you think that you can live off, and that's going to be your lifestyle that you want to live, just make sure that you're ready to work hard for it. And I guess don't talk it, but also walk it. So for myself, for example, as a coach, if I'm going to teach a kid how to do a sprint, I better be able to do the same actions that I'm trying to teach them at the same time, so that they can visually see it and just live the lifestyle as well. So make sure I'm staying healthy, make sure that I'm training on a regular, and So if that really is the industry that you want to get into, it's definitely a niche market, and if you want to be the best at it, you're gonna basically live by it, and just make sure that you're working at it every single day. So that would be one of my advices.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. So, how important for you is ownership? Like ownership of Iron Up. How does it make you feel in terms of being one of the, I don't know, you were saying Pacifica, and you might be the only person in terms of only group that's doing professional athletes. How important is that for you?
Yeah, for me it's very important, but also very proud. There's not many strength and conditioning coaches that are out there that are Pacifica or Maori. So just to be able to be in that industry and work with athletes that are coming up, and majority of them, especially in the rugby and rugby league season, industry, in those sports, basically Pacifica that are coming through as well. So being able to train those guys, and they can see that you're in the industry to make them a better person. For me, I'm someone that wants to, I have to, because I want to live by what I teach everybody. So just being able to be in that industry and knowing that I'm one of the many few that are able to do that. It's a proud thing to a label to have. Yeah,
no, spot on, man, spot on.
And is there a flip side to that, where sometimes sort of operating in that space, you know, being able to represent, there's also the flip side where sometimes there's pressures and responsibilities, and you know, not every day, sometimes there's just days where you don't want to be the face of you know, this specific thing. So I wonder, you know, on the flip side of that, how is that sort of journey?
I guess business-wise, it's more of a financial thing. So example would be talented kid coming through, or quite a few that are coming through, but because they financially can't pay for your service and your time, for me, it's because I'm always giving, like, even though I won't get paid for it, I won't be able, like, I guess it's more of a bigger thing. If I keep doing that and giving it out for free, then I won't be able to pay for my family and my kids to eat and travel to school and everything like that. It's more to do with just the financial side of all these talented athletes that are coming, but I still want to make sure that they don't have to pay for it, because I want to make sure that they can get to that next stage. So if it's a barrier financially, my heart's too kind to turn them away and say, oh, sorry. So I guess it's just financially, just being able to, I guess I can't say no to those situations, but everything else that I come through, I guess it's more positive than negatives. Yeah.
It's cool. It's cool. And yeah, I totally understand what you're talking about. You know, because you want to give to your people and those who are less fortunate, and sometimes out of your own pocket, Valentino. But there's a fine line of, hey, I got to pay my own bills, I got to feed my own family as well. And so, where does that line cross? Like you like, hey, there's a fine line there. Come on, man. There has to be kind of.
For me, it comes down to the effort at training. If they're not giving me 100% like I am to them, and they're getting everything for free, like I'm not going to say to them, "Oh, go away now," but we'll have a talk and be like, I've done this so that to make sure that you can still stay wherever you are at this current moment. That's for me is when you're not giving the same 100% effort that I would back to you. But financially wise, I'll just keep on saying, "Come on through," which is it's a bad trait for me. Bad trait to a certain point, I guess.
Yeah.
Not being able to say no. So, it's a strength and a weakness for me.
Oh, that's cool. Well, at least you're honest also, because it is hard. I think it is hard, especially for our people in Pacific and Māori, in terms of always giving, like you're saying. Better to give than to receive, but also there's the hope is that people don't abuse that, don't abuse the hey, you can afford it, but no, come on, you know what I'm talking about. Hey, man, but hey, come on, because it is a business, and I think our people need to know, hey, come on, you need to pay for the services because you're giving some, your services is not cheap, and so please, if they can, is there like a bit of a plug-in, Valentino, in terms of those folks out there who might abuse your kindness? Just tell them, hey, just pay them.
If you don't hear from me anymore, I guess that's when the fine line has been cut.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
It's funny because it's such a common, like, I think a lot of Pacific people, sort of, especially if they've grown up in the church where they're used to serving and giving back. It seems to be a common theme, especially when they're trying to cross over into business, having to draw that line. And sometimes it's uncomfortable to do so. Yeah.
That's I guess you've hit the nail on the head. I guess it's one of those things where, for me, I find it hard to say no, as much as if it's an inconvenience. In my head, I'm always saying it will come around in the future. It will come around in the future, and I'll get my dues later on. So, just like a lot of Polynesians, you just say yes to everything and you just do it.
Well, there's a positive spin to it. No, that's cool. Like, sometimes we say, "Oh yeah, no, cool, come for free," and then rehab. Sometimes we can mumble at the back, we complain, "Oh yeah," in our minds, like, "Come on, man, what's this?" Yeah. And so, but yeah, I think there's like Jay was saying, it can be quite awkward, uncomfortable to have those conversations. But I think those conversations should be, I think as men as well, I think we need to be able to kind of have that. Hey, come on, bro, or come on, sis. There's a something's got to give as well. So, no, good on you.
And I was going to say that, like, I imagine just with the pressures of juggling everything, your wife must play a sort of pivotal role in all of this. And there must be times where you've had to open up and have uncomfortable conversations about where you're at and the reality of where you're at, despite all the pressure to perform and to show up and all this sort of stuff, stay positive for the family. But I imagine you must have had some really tough conversations at certain periods of your life. Journey? Yeah.
No, she's always supported me from the beginning, even up to now. She's the, I guess, admin / accounts receivable. So she's the one that deals with the finance side. So I don't have to have those awkward conversations if I have to at training. But yeah, from the beginning, she's always supported me, even through the bad times. So when we first came to NZ, I was working with adults still, so it was still doing personal training with adults, and we had a facility in Ranui. So I bought out a warehouse. I said, "No, babe, I've got this. It's gonna go off. Everything's gonna be good." And she believed in me. She's okay, as long as you're working hard on it, do everything that you must do to make sure it stays afloat. And I guess within a year, I crashed it down, and we were in debt by about 50K. But in saying that, I still believed that there was something that was going to come out of it real good. And so we worked hard to pay all of that back off and respun the whole Iron Up Sports. And that's when I was like, this is what I believe is going to shoot for us. And same thing again, she didn't shoot down the idea and say, no, go look for a full-time job now. She said, okay, so let's go do this instead, this time with my input. And so she helped me build it up to what it is now. So throughout the bad times financially as well, when I thought I could make it work, she stuck right through to the end. And so now everything's more in a better place. Yeah.
Ooh. Bro, that's no. I just want to say thank you. So because I think we were talking about it earlier on with Brad, and so Brad was saying, hey, people see the end product, they say, oh man, Iron Up, awesome, it's just booming, and you got your HQ and all that kind of stuff. I'm speaking life in there, so you never know, and so people see the end product, but they don't see the toil or the hard work, the struggle behind it. And so, what just for other men out there who are thinking of aspiring to be business owners and entrepreneurs and all that, what do you say to those of us who want to do this or business, but we're just looking at the end product, but there's hard work that's involved.
Yeah.
What some advice could you give to us?
Yeah, if I got to redo it again, my main thing would be to do my research. Especially when it comes to taxes, GST, all of that good stuff. Make sure that you know what you're charging includes all of that. Second thing for me will be just making sure you know who you're targeting. So, for example, for me, it was all adults. I didn't care who it was, and I guess because I made it so general, it wasn't reaching out to, people didn't, I guess, feel like, oh, that's for me. So because I was just saying everyone come through, you can do it. So make sure that you know who you want to target and who you want to look after. And the third thing is passion. If it's your passion, make sure that you just stick to it right through to the end and don't give up. Yes.
I know.
Man, I can just imagine, and I'm sort of curious about your insight on it, but how necessary do you think failure is to reach success? So you've mentioned sort of that experience with the warehouse out west in Ranui and sort of coming through that. Do you think you'd be where you are today without those struggles and the failure? Or do you think that's necessary to be able to get to where you need to be?
Yeah, if you're not struggling throughout the process, you're never going to know what it's really like once you get to that point. All the failures that I've had, it's only not only made me stronger, but now I know, okay, cool, not going to do that, not going to go through that path again. Failure is very important, and that's what we tell the kids at training too, is it's failure is part of the process. You may not make the rep grade in under 10s or 11s or whatever it is. You got two choices from there. You can give up now and go look for something else to do, or you can persevere, train hard, know where your strengths and weaknesses were, and then come on the other side of it. So it's, for me, struggle and failure is very big. Without it, then I believe that Iron Up wouldn't be where it is at the moment. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Can you like kind of figure out from the get-go when you get some of these young kids coming in, can you kind of like pinpoint like, oh, this kid has it? What are some of the attributes that you know when you get an athlete like man, they just have something, they have the X factor? What is it? What is some of those signs that, besides hard work, obviously the obvious ones, but what does it take when you see it? What is the evidence that you see?
Yeah, kids who are engaged at the training. So for me, one thing that I've picked up throughout the years is when I'm explaining something and demonstrating, the kids that are mimicking me. So if I'm showing a different action of my arms, the ones that are fully engaged are the ones that are doing the same motions that I am while they're there, because, from what I can see, that they're the ones that are really wanting to better themselves. So I think one of the biggest things is the kids that are fully engaged and following through while I'm demonstrating and doing the same thing as me. That's one of the biggest things throughout the years. Those kids are the ones that have still stayed with us to this point, and they're the ones that are starting to make those rep grades like what they wanted to a couple of years ago. And the normally it's the kids that are quiet but hardworking. Look, as cliche it is, the one that's the quiet one but working hard. When they first start with us, as they get older, they become more confident, and then they end up becoming, we call it our student leaders inside within our group. And so those are the quiet, hardworking ones in the beginning. I find that they end up becoming the leaders within our groups as well. So showing that traits of never giving up and hardworking, I can see that they're the ones that are coming out on top at the moment with our programs.
Man.
Man, I'm just seeing, excuse me, a lot of parallels in terms of the attitude that kids bring to the program, but also matching being keys for success at school or even education, beyond school. So is everything you've achieved now, was that part of your vision once you decided to move away from adults and towards training the children? Like, was this all part of the plan from the get-go for you, or have you had to pick up things as you go?
No, just learning as I was going along. So our pillars probably didn't come into place until probably second year running. And then just learning little things here and there, like how to individually train kids in terms of their running their conditioning runs and everything like that. So as long as the years, I just kept on picking up different skills. So for me, it's every year I always want to introduce something new and improve the program so that number one is we stay on top of, if there's any competitors, we stay on top of the industry. But also I get bored real quick. So if I'm not improving and educating myself, I kind of get at a standstill, and I end up, sometimes I'll try, what's the new business that I want to start opening up and everything like that. So for me, it's just always education in the industry, and just always introducing something new to the kids so that they're staying on top of on top of their sport as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's so cool. Hey, you mentioned there's other business ventures. I'm just thinking, in your wildest imagination, like obviously you got Iron Up, but is there something in the pipelines besides Iron Up that you can envision yourself doing?
Yeah, so we've been looking at, I've been thinking and started to do the research. So that's one of the big things before I get into anything. And it's apparel. So for me, it's to have a youth sports apparel line for kids from the ages of 5 all the way up to 18 years old. So that's one thing that I want to start aligning. So at the moment, we still make uniform and apparel for the kids, but we want to basically, I guess, cut the middleman and do things ourselves. So that way we can get what we want right straight away and start bringing it through for the kids. Yeah. So sports apparel for the youth is what we're looking at next.
Nice one.
Yeah.
It's funny how passions can give birth to other passions. So I'm curious about, you mentioned coaches in the team. What sort of, and you've mentioned some of the important attributes they have as a coach and mentor for yourself, but what are some of the challenges of sort of recruiting the right people with the right values and people who can adapt to the way you operate? What are sort of some of those challenges like for you?
So over the years, we've had a few coaches that have come and tried to do what we're doing. The main thing that is for us is being able to relate to the kids. So because probably 85 to 90% are Pacifica kids, being able to relate to Pacifica kids and what they're going through, what their challenges are, and being able to make them overcome it. So one of our big things is if you can relate to the kid, then we can teach you the skills after that. We've had people that are qualified head over heels, but can't relate to kids. And so they end up making it look like a boot camp more than anything. And so we had to tie those ends really fast. So one of the main things is, just relating to our athletes. And I guess every coach that comes through has to be qualified. So that's one of our edges that we have, is you have to be a qualified personal trainer, Cert 3 and 4. And that just shows us that you're willing to put in the work to understand how the body moves, and that we're not giving you just a cowboy and the kid ends up getting injured or anything like that. So just proving to us, even if you don't have your qualifications, that you're willing to go through the process in order to come and work with us. And and just being positive and just having that growth mindset. So whatever I give to you, if it's a new type of training, being able to be like, oh yeah, I'll take that on, instead of being like, nah, I'm stuck with my ways. I'm gonna teach the kids how I want to. So just having that growth mindset of being able to just accept criticism or just positive feedback or anything, whatever it is. Yeah.
Man. Hey, also, listen. So thank you so much, also, for your time, because I know just a wealth of experience already. You know, especially at your young age as well. You're 33.
Yeah, 33.
So you're still very young in terms of business, but you're making some waves also, and just like even in the midst of adversity, during lockdown, you're making some waves. You're still progressing. You're still working, and you're putting in the hard yards. And so also thank you so much for your insights. Really, really insightful tonight. Also, Jay, you want to add anything?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to thank you for your time, and it sort of opened my mind up to other avenue. You know, when I think of sports and things, everyone seems to have one track mindset on what that entails. So really interesting to see a different perspective, but also just the demographic you're working with. I'm working with primary age children, so I see a lot of value in what you do. I think it's amazing, the mahi and the vision behind it. And, you know, the world's a complicated place, and it's only going to get harder for our kids. So I think programs like yours that don't just focus on the physical but offer this wraparound service, I think is amazing. And there's so many life lessons I think you can pull from everything you've shared. So yeah, I just wanted to thank you for your time and the experiences. It's been awesome.
Thank you guys. I'm not much to talk in public like this, so for me, one of my goals is to, if someone asks me to come and do something, is to be open and just come and try it. So get out of your comfort zone is one of the things that I try to pursue. So thank you guys for allowing me to get outside of my comfort zone tonight.
Oh, hey, anytime. Also, I love the fact that your positive outlook. I love the fact that you are here, and like you said, I think your message is like, hey, I'm not really much of a public speaker, but also, hey, man, bro, it's I think just the wealth of knowledge you have and the experience that you have in this space. So all the best for your business at Iron Up, also the apparel as well. So thank you for the shirts that you're going to give us after. It's coming. It's
I don't know if you fit it, but
I forgot the main office.
Valentino, thank you so much, Us. But hey, Us, we got a gift for you. Every guest that comes on, we always give them a sketch or a caricature of themselves. And so also on behalf of the Mandate team, this is for you, my friend.
Oh, 50 lava. Whoa.
Man, awesome.
So I gotta get my body looking like that soon. Thank you guys heaps again.
All good.
Thank you.
But is there anyone that you can think of that would be ideal to come on the podcast? Do you know?
Ooh.
Someone who's got could share some inspirational, encouraging words for our men out there.
Yeah. One guy that I can think of on the top of my head, his name's Jan Zabowski. So he used to run something called Zealous CrossFit back in the day. So I've watched his journey and everything like that, and just hearing his stories, it's very interesting. So that would be one of the guys that I'd recommend.
Oh man, yeah. Awesome. Any last words? We'll give you the last words. Also, hey, just any words of encouragement for our men.
Yeah, anything that you put your mind to, just be obsessed. One thing I think I heard from Grant Cardone is be obsessed or be average. So when anything you do in life, just be obsessed with it and go hard.
Nothing mediocre. Awesome. Also, man. So please, guys, please like and subscribe. Also, we look forward to your well thought out comments. And so, as usual, our mantra: Jay,
refine,
unlock,
and take charge.
Mandate.